Hey family, welcome to another episode on my channel Emergency ZA. I just decided to pop on here and make an unplanned video based on what I'm seeing is happening around us, After all, this is Emergency ZA. Some things we're gonna talk about they're unplanned. They're just happening around us and I'll just have to pop on here quickly as underprepared as I am. But I just want us to talk about this topic because I feel like it is really, really important. A lot of things happened over the weekend besides on the stuff that I've covered. Going back to, religious affairs, which is one of the things that I talk about in this channel. Something happened over the weekend to one of the gospel musicians who is well known in Nigeria. And this is something that is actually concerning the church, that is concerning the Christian church to be specific. But I think in every religion, this can be something that happens regularly because the religious people have similar ways of doing life. Even though we submit to different gods, we kind of have the same moral standards in a way. You can agree or disagree with that, it's okay. I want us to talk about Osinachi Nwachukwu. She's a lady from Nigeria who is such an amazing worshiper that I just discovered recently, who passed on Saturday night because she succumbed to beating injuries. She was one of the victims of abuse, domestic violence in her marriage, and it is very sad to hear about that. It is very sad to watch, and just people all over the world discussing it, talking about what really happened, because nobody really knows the full story, but I think we all have an idea of what happened. Maybe people are closer to her more obviously are the ones who can tell us what really happened. But I just heard of this story, and the common thing about it is domestic violence, which is happening all over the world, especially in our African countries. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go on in this video. We're going to talk about why is the African continent such a breed for abuse and domestic violence, especially against women and children. And there's just a lot going through my mind even right now. I just want us to talk about that quickly. I would say personally, I think the reason why there's such a high rate of abuse and violence in the African continent, it is because of our culture, it is because of our tradition. Our tradition that is teaching us that as a woman, you have to endure and stay married. Like, for an example, she was beaten so much by her own husband. This is someone who one day approached her and told her that he loves her and probably would love her to be the mother of his kids and build a home together. And, traditionally as a woman, if you get married, they pay lobola for you. In an English term, it is called a bride price. Lobola is a term that we used in South Africa, but in almost all African countries, they pay bride price. Because of that bride price, it is more of an exchange, saying that, okay, as a woman, I don't want to use the term buying, but it is practically, that's what it means, that the guy is buying you from your family to join his family. Some people may argue and be like, no, that is a bad way to explain it. It is just a way of joining families and whatsoever. But if it is a way of joining families, I feel like there's a bit of imbalance, because the man is the one who pays, with cows or with goats, whatever you use, wherever you come from. And so when you do come to his house now, it's more like he's entitled to you. Obviously, you have to start doing your wife duties, and traditionally as a wife, obviously you have to take care of your husband. You should cook for him, you should wash for him, you should take care of the house and make it clean and make sure that he's well fed, amongst other things, that people do in marriage. And then now you find a man that he is so entitled so much that some think that they own you. They think that you are their property. They think that because I married you, you are not going anywhere, you do not have a say about your life. I'm the one who's going to tell you what to do, when and how, which is just funny to me, that just because you paid a bride price, now you think you own someone, and now you can tell them what to do at what time and where to go, who to be with, and so forth. But this in the very same breath, a woman cannot do that to the men, because she has to submit and the man has to lead. That's also when the church comes in, the structure of the church of how marriage should be, where the man has to lead and the wife has to submit. I'm not against that, but I feel like abusive men take advantage of that, especially in such a case where a woman just died because a man was beating her all over and all over again. This is not the first time. This thing was happening over time, but unfortunately this time she lost her life. For the fact that she was staying in such an abusive relationship, I believe it is because of these teachings that tell you to endure. It's your husband. He married you. It's the father of your kids. This woman was 41 years old. She's a mother of 4. She was a great musician, a great worshiper of note. When she worshipped, demons trembled. People were moved, people were touched, people were healed. And we just lost such a precious soul because of such things. And I don't know what has to be done in our world so people in generally can understand. Because this is not just a mindset of men, but this is also a mindset of women. This is also a mindset that she had, that no, I'm married to this man, so I have to endure all of this. I have to endure the abuse. I have to endure the beating. And unfortunately, she just lost her life. Her children lost their mother. Her parents lost a daughter. Her church lost a worshiper, a sister in Christ. Her community lost a powerful woman in the name of marriage. So is marriage so important more than your life? Are these cultural norms and traditional norms more important than a human life? And it's so unfortunate that it's most of the time it's us women who have to complain about these issues. And when you do complain about these issues, we are called feminist, we're called weak, we're called modern women because our great-grandmothers and our great-grandfathers lived this way and there was no issue. Maybe our great-grandfathers were not like these men. And women most of the time were housewives and they did not have to do anything. But this woman in particular, she was working for her family. She was using her gift and talents to bring income into her home. So I heard here and there that the husband was jealous when she would go for performances, so she had to give him extra assurance that no, she is really going to perform. There had to be posters and extra confirmations for that, so that he can be satisfied that she's really going to perform. She won't have time obviously to be full-time with her family, full-time with her husband, so that he can see her all the time and be satisfied. Things are different now we're talking about different dynamics. Women in this age cannot submit like women in 1932. There has to be a difference. There will be a difference. So I'm really, this issue just really touched me. It is so personal. I was really touched by it. I'm really concerned because I know that she is not the last woman who's going to die because of domestic violence, unfortunately. And we all know that. But what do we do in such a world that women are not heard? What do we do in such a world when such things are now a norm? Now we know it's going to happen next. Probably someone is, as I speak right now, in this very minute, in this very second, a woman is being killed. A child is being raped. Someone is being shot. At this very moment as I'm speaking with you. So what do we do? Do we just ignore it and say, okay, fine, it's part of life? Or do we become the change that we want to see? I just wanted to talk about as well the contribution of the church in this matter. This woman was going to a church called Dunamis Church, if I'm not mistaken. It's a huge church. She was singing in huge platforms. Now I'm concerned, I'm asking myself, did this woman not have friends, people she can confide in? Or did the people that she confided in are people who are really religious, so much so that they just told her, hold on. What did her pastors say? Apparently they were fully aware of what was happening. Pastors need to reevaluate the way they are counseling couples in the church. Women need to evaluate what they believe about marriage. Women need to evaluate what religion says about marriage. Is it benefiting you as a woman, or is it pushing a narrative of patriarchy that still exists in our society? In all of the things that we want change in. It's so funny how people want change in things that will benefit them. Men want change in how the society is run. They want change in the government. They want change in the economy. They want change in the education system. But they do not want to change stuff that specifically enslave women. But if us as women we cry for change, all of a sudden we're feminist. I just hope you guys, get the points that I'm trying to talk about here. And then the society standards that we have about marriage, that if you're not married, you're not a woman enough. If you're not married, obviously there's a problem with you. Probably guys don't like you, or they think you're useless, or they think, you're not wife material enough. All of these things. To a certain extent, they are true. But women also make choices not to get married, because when you look from the outside and you see what is happening on the inside, there's a lot of imbalance that is happening. Sometimes it's not even about physical abuse, being beaten, no. Sometimes it's about psychological abuse, emotional abuse. Women go as far as being abused financially in marriages. Marriage is supposed to be a place of safety, place of love, because God in His Word did instruct men to love their wives as Christ loves the church. Love your wives as Christ loves the church. Do you understand what that means? Let's talk about the love of Christ, how He loved the church. Christ died for us. He loved us before we even accepted Him in our lives. He loved us while we were still sinners. He died for us at the cross. Even for the very same people who hung Him on that cross, He died for them. And He said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. The love of Christ is unconditional. You may walk away from Him today, but tomorrow when you come back, you will come back to Him with His arms open wide to hug you and embrace you, just like the prodigal son. The prodigal son is the perfect analogy of the love of Christ. The cross is the perfect analogy of the love of Christ. You die for the person that you love. You sacrifice yourself for the person that you love. You put the person that you love first. You provide for the person that you love. God is our provider. He's our defender. He's our protector. He's our refuge. He's the person that we run to when we feel like the ways of life are beyond us. That is what the man in his home is supposed to be. He's supposed to be a place of safety. He's supposed to be a provider. He's supposed to be a person who sacrifices himself for the family's sake. That is the initial plan God had for human beings, for men and women. So we have a problem with men who do not understand the true meaning of their role, but they just go after power. They just go after the term lead. The moment they just say, okay, I'm called to lead, for them that means they have to abuse their power. And so that is really hypocrisy that is on another level. And then in women, I feel like there's so much fear with women who are getting abused. But I also think it's because of the psychological effects that it comes with. Sometimes it's the pride. If I leave this marriage, what are they going to say? People from the church, people from my community. Because there's this stigma about women who are not married, but also women who are divorced. You just seem like you're a failure because, you walked away from a marriage. But at least you'll walk away with your life. What dignity did she get now that she's dead? Now we're all feeling sorry for her. It's so sad. We deeply feel that sorrow with her. I can only imagine when she was going through these things, the beatings, what was really going through her mind, as helpless as she was. I also heard a scenario where apparently the husband tied her up so that her children can beat her. He told the children to beat their own mother. That is very unfortunate. That is very sad. That is very harsh. Even animals wouldn't do that. So I still don't understand. Is this guy crazy? Surely he has a mental illness, because how do you take it that far? He has a mother of his own, whether she's dead or alive. Would she have done the same thing? Did he experience a certain level of abuse from his mother that he feels like he should be abusing another woman? I am not sure, but I think we're gonna find that out as time goes by. So to women, do not isolate yourself. Speak about these things. If you are experiencing any form of abuse, whether it is in the church, whether it is in your family, in your community, workplace, do speak out. Even if it makes you look crazy, I can tell you something about that. Even if you're the only person who understands it, do it. Speak out. Speak out and do not die on the inside, because if you keep things to yourself, you're already killing yourself. But if you speak out, you're giving yourself another chance to have a life after that situation, after you freed yourself from it. We need to go back and read the word of God and understand in depth, what does it mean? What was God's intention about marriage? Did he say you must die there, as culture says? It's okay, as we take you out of our home, you're no longer coming back. You no longer have space here. You have to die wherever you're going, because now you belong to them. In South Africa, what we do, they buy you a kist. So when you go to the husband's house, and that is more like another version of your casket. It is a sign that we're taking you out of our home. Now we're landing you to another family, and that is where you're gonna die. It is basically your coffin that you're taking to your husband's place, but in a form of a kiss. It is a sign. And that is just them basically telling you that whatever happens, just build it there. Just fix things there. And that is why so many women feel like they cannot come back to their mother's houses, to their father's houses, because they are married and they're stuck there. Families should also stop hiding such abuse happening within their family members, because trust in me, the family didn't know. The sisters, the brothers, the uncles, the grannies, those are the most poisonous people ever, because they keep secrets, knowing very well that you're being abused, but they're not gonna tell anyone. They're gonna keep it to themselves. And then when such things happen, the world is shocked. They're gonna start acting like they even cared. I'm not gonna blame them and say they are the reason why all of this happened, but to a certain degree they are responsible for her death, because they could have done something, they could have said something. In the next few videos, I'm just going to be talking more about these, especially the contribution that the church has made in women abuse within marriages. And the saddest part, this thing is going to affect the 4 kids that she left. It's always the kids. The kids are the ones who always get the most beating. Maybe not the physical one, but mentally, it really damages the kids. You cannot watch your parent being abused and still remain the same. Whether it's physically, psychologically, emotionally, financially, it is the same. Abuse, it's the same. Even worse, the abuse that you cannot see with your naked eye. Physical abuse is better, because you go to the hospital and then you get treated and they heal it. But emotional, psychological abuse, it's hidden. Not everybody can see. It's just affecting you alone. And that is the reason why people suffer so much in silence, because we can't see. But speaking out is the only way out of such things. And so not going to speak into this situation any further, but I just wanted to talk about it and say, this is not of God. This is not of God. Staying in abusive relationships is not encouraged by God. It is religion that tells people to stay in abusive relationships. But people who are in a relationship with God understand that God wouldn't want them to suffer in such a way. God wouldn't choose your marriage over you. God would want you to live. God will want you to be happy and be alive and be joyous and live a fulfilling life. So beloved, I'm not going to talk too much, but I just wanted to speak to it and just share my heart with you guys about the situation, because it really shook me, and I'm really encouraging the Nigerian community to stand up for this lady, for justice to be served, for Nigeria to also teach women that marriage is not an achievement. Marriage is not everything. Women should stand on their own. Women should be independent, because we live in hard times where men really think we owe them something. Men are really angry at us for being women. Men are angry at our intellectuality. Men are angry at our success. They are jealous of us, and they would do anything to break us. I'm not saying men are trash or anything like that, no. But some really hate women, and so we're not safe. But we will pray and continue and trust God that He will change situations in our homes. He will change situations in our society, and things will never be the same again. We will never lose hope. Just to rest in peace to Osinachi, and condolences to her family. What they've went through is really tough, but we trust God for comfort. We trust that He will do something for her with her kids, and they'll be taken care of. And hopefully the government will rise up and just take over the situation and handle this case with so much care, wisdom, and fairness, because justice needs to be served. But anyways, I'm not going to talk too much anymore. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you liked this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Do leave a comment below. Just tell me, what do you think about the situation that I just spoke about? I'm really looking forward to engaging with you guys in another video, and that is all I have for today. So from me, I'm signing out. Thank you very much for tuning in, and bye.